This lesson will cover how to determine portion sizes for grain products. The information is found in Chapter 2 of the CACFP Administrative Manual. Grain products may be made from a mix, purchased, or homemade from scratch. If made from a mix, there is one way to determine the portion size. A serving of the final product must be weighed on a scale and compared to the required weight on the grain serving size chart. A digital scale is preferred. If the serving is too large or too small, the serving size should be adjusted and reweighed to achieve the required portion size based on the ages of the children who are being served. Larger, but not smaller portions may be served if desired. Record the serving size and yield of the product for current use and future reference. There are 3 methods to determine the serving size for commercially purchased grain items such as packaged crackers, muffins, and bread items. Use the nutrition facts label, obtain a product formulation statement, or weigh the product on a scale. Each method will be discussed. The first method uses the nutrition facts label to determine the weight of a serving. The serving size is provided on the nutrition facts label and is compared to the required weight of a serving listed on the grain chart. If the serving size on the nutrition facts label is larger or smaller than the required serving size, divide the required weight on the grain chart by the weight on the nutrition facts label to determine the amount to serve. An example is provided in the manual using Triscuit crackers. The nutrition facts label indicates a serving is 6 crackers and weighs 28 grams. Savory crackers are in Group A of the grain chart. The required weight is 22 grams for school-age children and adults, and 11 grams for children ages 1 through 5. The nutrition facts label serving size of 28 grams is larger than both the required weight for older children and adults and younger children. Divide the required weight of 22 grams by the serving weight of 28 grams listed on the nutrition facts label. The result is 0.78 servings. From the nutrition facts label, there are 6 crackers in a serving. Multiply 0.78 by 6. The result is 4.68 crackers. Round up to 5 crackers for school-age children and adults. For younger children, divide 11 by 28 grams. The result is 0.39. Multiply 0.39 by 6 crackers in a serving. The result is 2.34. Round up to 3 crackers for children ages 1 through 5. The second method is to obtain a product formulation statement from the manufacturer. The statement must be signed by an authorized company representative, not a salesperson. The documentation must indicate how much grain by weight or how many grain servings a portion provides. An example of a product formulation statement is in the CACFP Manual. This topic is covered in more detail in Module 2, Lesson 14. If a nutrition facts label or product formulation statement from the manufacturer is not available, a third method is to find the group the food item belongs in on the grain chart. Weigh a serving of the grain item on a scale and compare it to the required weight on the chart. If the serving is too large or too small, the size of the serving should be adjusted to meet the required portion size based on the ages of the children being served. Larger, but not smaller portions may be served if desired. If a grain product is homemade from scratch, 2 different methods may be used. A serving of the final product may be weighed on a scale and compared to the required weight on the grain chart. If the serving is too large or too small, the size of the serving should be adjusted and reweighed to achieve the required portion size based on the ages of the children being served. The second method involves some math. The amount of creditable flour, meal, bran, or germ in the recipe may be calculated to determine the number of grain ounce equivalents the recipe provides. To credit a grain recipe using math, add together the weight of each grain item in the recipe. A chart is provided in the manual listing the weight of a cup of different grain ingredients. For bran, germ, flour, and meal ingredients, divide the total grain weight by 16 grams, which is an ounce equivalent. For cereal ingredients, divide by 28.4 grams. The result is the number of grain ounce equivalents in the recipe. Divide the grain ounce equivalents in the recipe by the number of servings the recipe yields. The result is the number of grain ounce equivalents in a serving. A cornbread recipe example is in the CACFP Manual. The grains in this recipe include 1 cup enriched cornmeal and 3/4 cup enriched all-purpose flour. The total weight of the grain in this recipe includes 1 cup cornmeal weighing 122 grams and 3/4 cup of all-purpose flour. The flour weighs 125 grams per cup. To determine the weight of 3/4 cup, multiply 125 by 0.75 to equal 93.75 grams. 122 plus 93.75 equals 215.75 grams of total grain in the recipe. 1 grain ounce equivalent includes 16 grams of meal or flour. 215.75 total grams of grain divided by 16 equals 13.48 ounce equivalents per recipe. Divide the 13.48 ounce equivalents by the yield. If cut into 6, each serving of cornbread would provide 2.25 CACFP ounce equivalents of grain. To meet meal pattern requirements, school-age children and adults need 1 ounce equivalent, and children ages 1 through 5 years need 1/2 ounce equivalent. Each piece can be cut in half to provide 1.1 ounce equivalents of grain and fulfill the required serving for school-age children. 1.1 was obtained by dividing 2.25 by 2. If cut in quarters, a piece provides 0.5 ounce equivalents and fulfills the required serving for children aged 1 through 5. 0.5 was obtained by dividing 2.25 by 4. In this example, it is recommended to cut the recipe into 12 pieces rather than 6. School-age children would receive 1 piece, and children ages 1 through 5 would receive 1/2 piece. This concludes the lesson on how to determine portion sizes for grain products. If you have questions, please contact your CACFP consultant or the state agency. Contact information can be found in the front of the manual.